What is up, guys? This is Austin with Proper Spray Equipment. I am very excited to show you our newest build that is behind me here. Right off the bat, this is a 7x16 trailer. This is what our footprint was started with. We've got 7,000 pound axles on this thing, and it's 2-inch tubing for all of the side rails, the ladder rack, basically everything from here up. And then you've got some massive, thick 2-inch by, I think 6-inch channel for the trailer, the tongue, and everything else. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into going over this trailer. Before I get into the in-depth walk around, I just wanna go over the layout of this trailer real quick. So we're just gonna kinda do a quick pass. One thing I want you to keep in mind though is with this trailer, everything is orientated based off looking at the trailer this way. So what I mean is the left GX690, right GX690, left AR45, right AR45. So follow me over here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when we look at our metering system, our customer went ahead and labeled these right AR and left AR, but if you were to take this bracket and put it parallel with the ground, this metering system is gonna go to the closest AR, and the furthest metering system is gonna go to the furthest AR. And then over here, we have our Flow Pros. Right Flow Pro goes to the right machine, left Flow Pro goes to the left machine. Same thing with these rinse valves over here. So everything on this trailer is orientated, so there's no confusion no matter who is on this trailer. So we'll take a look over here as well, show you a couple more things that make it really simplistic to run off of this thing. Down here, we've got our fuel manifold as well as our fuel tanks. Blue goes to blue, red goes to red, and it's coordinated left to right as well. And then also on our fuel gauges down here, same thing, left, right. It makes everything very, very easy. If you look over here, we'll show you in between these fuel tanks down right there. We've got our plumbing for our inlets. Those are gonna go to our left and right machines for the for the GX690. So if you're troubleshooting out in the field, you're trying to figure out what's going on with something, it's very easy to tell. If you look over here on our bleach tank, left green hose goes to the left AR, right green hose goes to the right AR. Same thing with the poly braid for the Flow Pros. So I think you guys kind of catch what I'm talking about. Everything on here is very, very easy. So if you're trying to communicate with your employees or your helpers or whoever's out there, it's very simple to work off of this thing. All right, so we're gonna start up here at the front of the trailer. We've got 2 GX690s and 2 AR45s that are the heart of this trailer. I kind of designed this trailer with hopes of being able to fit 4 of these machines up here, and we had to do a couple modifications in order to make that happen, which right off the bat you can see we got custom exhaust on these AR45s. This is what allows us to be able to squeeze these units in here and not worry about the heat soaking on the starters for each of these machines, over here. If you take a look over here, we've also got something pretty cool going on. So we bypass the factory fuel tanks with these units and we convert them to fuel pumps. We've got custom brackets that we sell on our website at psejacks.com. You've got a couple different options, which is you can get your fuel pump, the bracket, and all the hardware and hoses and stuff included, or you can go a step further and you can get an hour meter as well. So we'll make you a close-up video real quick of that. Looking pretty sweet. But yeah, so that allows these machines here to run off of our fuel cell over there, which we'll get to in just a second. We also put tractor flaps on the GX690s with some upright 90s, so you don't have to worry about stuff getting down in that exhaust. You don't have to worry about the exhaust spraying stuff out on people. And then of course, you don't have to worry about any water getting in there. Over here on this side of the trailer, we've got our metering systems, which feature the clear manifold blocks and the precision flow valve metering valves. These are both 1-inch for your water and bleach, 1/2 inch for your soap. We've got check valves all over everything, and then we have a remote soap and a remote rinse mounted here on the back for each of the manifolds, for each of the ARs. Everything on this trailer is identical as far as the layout goes, so I'll go over that in just a second. But we also have our metering ratio chart here that just kind of goes over some guidelines on what surface you're cleaning, what percentage you need to be at, and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so on this side of the trailer, we've got all our hose reels, our metering systems, and our flow pros. Couple things that's really cool about the metering systems over here. You've got your clear manifold, which is the new craze that's out there. A couple things that this does. It allows you to see if you have any air leaks. It allows you to see if your stuff's coming through how it's supposed to. You can see the individual stuff mixed together, which of course looks awesome. But again, out in the field, if something starts acting up, it's not pulling how it's supposed to, you can look in here and see, all right, well, my bleach is messed up, or I've got air bubbles coming through the soap, but the soap valve is closed. It allows you to kind of dictate where some of those issues are coming from. Also, we've got our remote rinse system on this. So what we'll do is click on our remote here. So we've got one for the top, one for the bottom. They're all labeled. The lights are different, so this makes it very easy if you're up on a high story to kind of look down at the trailer, see what's flashing, what's not flashing, and you can switch it from bleach to rinse at the click of a button. The other thing that you'll hear is that positive feedback is what we call that. What that means is this system will not turn the valves, it will not flash the light, it will not do anything unless that beep is heard. So if you don't hear that beep and you're sitting here spamming the button, something's going on with your board down here at the trailer. If you've never seen a Flow Pro operate before, basically you've got these remotes that are labeled mix and rinse. When you need to spray your house wash, you're just going to click your mix. Same thing on the other one. The actuator will turn. Takes a couple seconds for that to turn. Now you're on bleach. Your machine's gonna idle down, or it's gonna kind of bog a little bit. And then after you are done spraying your mix, you just come over here, click your rinse. Same thing, these have positive feedbacks whenever you click the button, and now it's gonna go back to rinse mode. So if you look over here, you'll see these 8 hose reels and you're probably going, man, what the heck is going on there? Who needs all that? Well, you're probably right. There's not a lot of uses for all of this. However, this trailer was built for one job, one contract, and the job that he's doing, he's stretching out a minimum of 300 foot of hose just to clean one side. This entire building is surrounded by water on the back and the right corner. So it's a logistical nightmare to say the least. It's 7 stories tall. They're basically having to stretch hoses up over the roof and down to where they're cleaning at. So with that being said, we've got 300 foot of 5/8 here, 300 foot of 5/8 here, and then 150 foot sections on each of these reels. These are for the AR-45s. So he can, just pick a 50 footer if he needs it, or a 150 footer, or a 100 footer. I mean, he doesn't have to pull off the entire thing, but he's got all of that hose sitting there if he's got to stretch it out 400 or 500 foot. Over here, we've got R2 hose. This is customer supplied hose from his other trailer, which had a hot box on it. We're more than likely gonna be swapping this out here soon for some R1, just because he doesn't have a hot box and that crap's heavy. Down here, we've got about 350 to 400 foot of R1. We love Fierce Jet, as you can see on the soft wash stuff over there. So this stuff's amazing. Over here, we've got 300 foot of 3/4 inch Flexzilla hose there, and about 100 foot customer supplied on that hose reel up there, which is 5/8. Down over here, we've got our water connections. These are going to be our 3/4 inch garden hose coming in and 1 inch going out to our float valves in the tank. They've got water filters on each of the inlets there. We've also got one on this big King's 1 inch hose reel that you see here. It's got a filter, it's got a ball valve down here. You're probably wondering why there's a ball valve. That helps keep this stuff stiff as a board, so it's not gonna kink on you when you're reeling it back up. That's a little hack. You saw it here first, if anybody asks. Down over here, we've got our 2 inch fire hose attachment. So all he's got to do is take his fire hose, which has another cam lock, hook it up, open the ball valve, and it'll shoot water into the back bottom of the tank. That does not have a float valve on it, so he does have to be careful of that. On this side of the trailer, we hooked him up with a spare wheel and tire. There's no sense in selling something that does not have a spare wheel and tire ready to go. He could pull out of that parking lot and have a bad day right off the rip. So we make sure that he's prepared when he leaves. He's got a surface cleaner up here just for the time being. We're gonna be doing some racks once he decides if he wants to keep the big guy or if he wants to go with some ground forces. Really just depends on that. He's got some room to put some cones. Here's his fire hose on a little bungee with cam locks on it. You got your bypass up there for the units. All the water coming into the tank is on this side of the tank, so you don't have to worry about cavitation up at the front when the water is going through the machines. Over here, you've got your 48-inch aluminum buyer's boxes that are fabricated into the ladder rack. We built the metal brackets around it here. As you can see, these are the fronts of the boxes. This one up here is mainly storage. You got your wheel chocks that we supplied, gloves, spray cans, which would be like your lubricants, spare chemical containers, and then he's put all of his spare chemicals and drop ropes, pretty much whatever, to be able to do what he's doing out there on those jobs. Down here, we've got our electrical system, which is cleanly labeled, every single wire in here. I apologize for the alarms. We've been trying to shoot this 4 times and they just keep going off. Hopefully it's not too loud. But as I was saying, we've got every single wire in here labeled. So again, out in the field, something starts acting up or something comes disconnected or whatever, you can look in here and see, all right, well, all of our AR-45s are on this circuit breaker, our GX690s are on this one, that one's miscellaneous for like the hose reels, all that kind of good stuff. You can see we custom labeled each of these wires. We put clear heat shrink over it so it's weatherproof. We put these custom, I'm gonna call them junction boxes on here. I know that's not what they're called, but to clean this up quite a bit. We've got a battery charger up here that is signaled off of the ignition wire coming from the truck. And it's also got a dummy switch down here that we can turn on or off. So it's not gonna send battery coming from that little tiny battery mounted on the trailer to this. So this is a little bit of a different setup because it's a trailer. And then of course we've got our tank light down here that he can turn on the fly. Everything's on separate circuit breakers, like I said earlier. Down over here, he's got his just spare tape, trigger guns. We've got the water boss guns for the ARs. And then the most important part that we hooked him up with here is our oh shit kits. So in this small one here, he's got everything from little O-rings to washers to spare swivel, spare button for the reels, spare tips for the water boss. He's got our custom engraved stainless steel fittings, super high quality. Rebuild kits for the water boss guns, spare keys for the machines, spare parts for the AR-45 in here. And the big one is gonna be more of your field repair stuff. So in here we've got spare tape, AR parts, really bad day tools in here to get stuff that's stripped out. We've got a spare reel solenoid, some adapters for the backflows. I'll go over those in another video. Spare socket, that's not ours. Spare batteries for all of the remotes except for these are chargeable. And spare fuses, voltmeter, picks. I mean, basically anything you could need while you're out there working, it's in here. Spare cam locks, spare pressure gauge, Flow Pro stuff, check valves for the AR, which he won't be needing those anytime soon. And then tucked over here is we made him a little bracket or a little area that he could just put all of his remotes. As you can see, there's just the 4 minimum ones right now, but we gave him a bunch of backups. So he's got spare remotes for days. All right, so I've got you guys here at the bleach tank just to showcase some of the plumbing. We basically have drop sticks that go straight down from the bulkhead to the bottom of the tank there. We typically run filters on these, but we vacuumed out the tank. We made sure there weren't any particles of anything in here, so it's not too big of a worry. Same thing with the Flow Pros. Those are the drop tubes going down to the bottom of the tank in there. All right, so we've got a couple things going on with the water tank here. We have these high flow Job float valves in here. These are 1 inch. It runs 1 inch from the reels, each of the water hookups down there, straight up here to these float valves. These are a lot higher quality than the Hudsons. They don't really fail. They're a little bit more expensive, but I think that makes up for the quality. Down there we've got the hookup for one of the reels. God damn. So we've got a couple things going on up here on the water tank. These are the high flow Job float valves. It's got 1 inch running from the reel, the bulkhead connections down there, straight up to here. So we've got maximum flow capabilities. As you can see in here, that's our hydrant connection. That one back there is our 1 inch bulkhead coming out to the side of the trailer, which is also our hand wash station. That's our tank light there that's recessed under the trailer. And then I'll show you over here, we've got our outlets. So those two on the left are gonna go to the pressure washers. Again, left and right pressure washer. These two on the right, those have strainers on them, as you can see. Those go to each of the ARs, again, left and right. So you're probably wondering why we don't run strainers on that. Well, that's because the machines, as you can see right there, have their own strainers. All right, so over here, the last piece of the puzzle is we've got a 5,200 pound electric jack. This thing will allow you to lift this trailer up by it yourself. You don't have to sit there and screw with cranking on this thing all day long. Plus this trailer's pretty heavy. So if you want, you just flick on your light if you need to see what you're doing. You come over here, push it up, push it down. This is wired into that Deep Cycle Marine battery bank in there in the boxes. It's not working off this little one here, so you'll never have an issue with this thing killing batteries. All right guys, so that's kind of an in-depth walk around with our 7x16 trailer build that we have here. This is a pretty top of the line trailer. You guys really aren't gonna need this unless it's something specific that you're doing that fits the needs of this trailer. If you want something built, whether it's a flatbed, a trailer, a box van, basically anything, give us a call, 904. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.